joint variation. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I hope you are doing well. We will continue from where we left. So today we will be learning about joint variation. Joint variation. And on Sunday we studied on direct inverse, and we also introduced ourselves to joint variation. That was on Sunday. On Sunday we did hello. On Sunday we introduced ourselves to joint variation, and that is what we are going to be doing today also. And in joint variation, on Sunday we only learned one aspect of joint variation, but today I want us to study on the percentage in joint variation. The percentage in joint variation. That is what we are going to be learning about, the percentage in joint variation. And we are going to be doing the same questions that we did that are related to... Hello Amita, I hope you are doing well. Let's continue. So what we are going to do, we will have a question here. There was a question done in the year 2013. There was a question done in the year 2013, paper 2, number 22. 2013, paper 2, number... I want us to discuss on the percentage part. So, the question reads, 3 quantities R, S, and T. 3 quantities R, S, and T such that R values are such that R varies directly, R varies directly as S add inversely as the square of t, and inversely as the square of t, and inversely as the square of t. So the first question, we can start from the beginning. Given that R is equal to 480 when is equal to 150 and t is equal to t is equal to 5, write the equation connecting. Write the equation connecting R, S, and T. So this is a question assessed in section B, 4 marks. I understand we had done this part, but we can do a recap as we do the last question. So we are being told three quantities R, S, and T are such that R varies directly as S, R varies directly as S, and inversely as the square of t, and inversely as the square of t. So it is going to be R varies directly as S, as inversely as the square root of t. Then R is going to be equal to Ks over t squared. Ks over t squared. Once we do this, we are now going to introduce our values so that we can find K. So our R is 480 is equal to S is 150 times K will be 150 K over T squared is 5 squared, which is 25. So T is 5, so 5 squared is equal to 25. So once we cross multiply, 150K will be equivalent to 150K will be equal to, is that calculator? So what is 480 times 25? So 48 times 25 quickly. It will be 4, it will be 20, 24, then 16 carry 1, 9, 0, 0 carry 1, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then we add another 0. It will be equal to 12,000. So for us to get K, we will divide both sides by 150 by 150. And once we do that, once we simplify, we will get our K is equal to 0, or 1200 divided by 15. It is going to be 80. I think it's going to be 80, if I'm not wrong. It will be 80 because 15 times 4 is 60. 15 times, yeah, it is going to be 80. So once we get 80, the equation connecting is going to be, the equation connecting is going to be R is equals to 80s over t squared. 80s over t squared. So that is how we solve the first question. Let us proceed to question 2, to the question B. So question B inasema, I hope tumeingia. Question B, find the value of R. Find the value of R. Find the value of R when S is 360. When S is 360 equal to 1.5. So when we are told to answer this one, what we are going to do, we are going to take our equation. Our equation is R is equals to K was 80s over t squared. And with that, let us find R when S is 360 and T is 1.5. So it is going to be R is equals to, let us check that one out. So it is going to be 80 times 360 over t squared is 1.5 squared. So that is going to give us R is equals to 80 times 360 over 2.25. And once we do that, we will get our R is equal to 12,800. 12,800. And by doing that, we are done with that part. So we will now continue with part C, which we are supposed to learn today about percentage. Tufanye part C on percentage. Part C on percentage. So part C, or B man 2, it is the same as B man 2. So we have three quantities R, S and T. Tushampewa hiyo statement. So part Roman 2 inasema find the percentage change. Find the percentage change. Find the percentage change in R if S increases by 5% and T decreases by 20% and T decreases by 20%. 4 marks. So that is our question. It decreases by 20%. So how do we go about such kind of a question? So we will first write down our equation. Three quantities R and ST are such that R varies directly as S. So R varies, tuiandike venye ilikuwa KS over T squared. Tutaiandika hivyo. R is equals to KS over T squared. So tunaambiwa find the percentage change in R if S increased by 5%. So initially S was 100%, but it has now increased by 5%. So the new S, which we can represent with S1, S1 is representing new S, is going to be, after increasing 5%, it will be 105 over 100, and T decreases by 20%. And the new T also, T1 represents the new T, is equal to a decrease of 20 will result to having an 80 over 100. An 80 over 100. So new S is going to be equal to 1.05, while new T is going to result into 0.8. 0.8. So listen and listen carefully. When we have a new S and a new T, definitely that will give us a new R, because there is change in S and there is change in T. So for us to get the new R, it is going to be, let us include our K there. Nitaonyesha venye tutayachana na K. So it will be K, then our S is 1.05. So we can have 1.05 over our new T is 0.8 and T is squared. So it is going to be 0.8 squared. So our new R is going to be equal to 1.05 K over 0.8 squared is equivalent to 0.64. It is equivalent to 0.64. And if you take a calculator and divide that one out, you will get mu R is equal to, what is 1.05 divided by 0.64? 1.05 divided by 0.64. One point zero five divide by nifanyie hii please. 1.05 over 0.64 itatupatia nini? What is it going to give us? Yesu, ile calculator hata yama. Itatupea nini? Njia. 1.640. Thank you very much. 1.640 K. So when we have this, we can now replace K. Let us replace K with R. Let us replace K with R. Haina shida hata ikiwa hapo, but let us just replace it with R. So that we will say our new R, this is new R, is equal to 1.640 R. 1.640 R. And our old R, we can just call it old R, was equal to R. Remember, hii ni kabla change ilikuwa hivi. So it was just R. It was just R. But new R, you see there is a difference. New R is 1.0 R. So for us to get percentage change is new R minus old R over old R times 100%. Percentage change is equal to new R, which is 1.640 R minus R over R times 100%. Times 100%. So when we subtract 1.640 R minus R over R, ukichukua you subtract hapa, utapata 0.640 R over R times 100%. So tunataka kujua percentage change. So we can lab this part here. Na tukilab hii part, tutapata this R is going to cancel with this R. And once they cancel, we will have 0.640 times 100, because this cancels by 1 by 1. It is going to be equal to, if you multiply by 100, it will be equal to 64% increase. I don't know whether you had the decimal places. 1.64. Yeah, itakuwa 64% increase. Why are we saying 64% increase? Tunasema increase ni kwa sababu ni positive. Lakini kama ingekuwa negative, tungesema decrease. So we are saying increase because it is positive. If it was a negative, tungesema ni decrease. So that is one example. At least we have done a recap of yesterday's work. I want us now to continue doing these questions on percentage. Let us proceed to question 2. I hope you are done writing this one down. We will do another question here on percentage. Three variables. Example 2. Three variables P, Q, and R. P, Q, and R are such that P varies directly P varies directly as Q and inversely as the square of R. And inversely as the square of R. So, to end the express, let us go straight to the point. Just a minute. So, we have that. Then, the question is, three variables P, Q, and R. So, the first question reads, when P is 9, Q is 12, and R is 2. Find P when Q is equal to 15 and R is equal to 5. Tunaambiwa tufanye hiyo formats. So, three variables P, Q, and R are such that P varies directly as Q. P varies directly as Q and inversely as the square of R. And inversely as the square of R. So in short, P is equals to KQ over R squared. KQ over R squared. When P is 9, Q is 12, so Q itakuwa 12K over R is 2. So what is 2 squared? Is 4. So 12K will be equal to 36. Because 12, this is cross multiplication. 12K times 1 is 12K is equal to 9 times 4 is 36. Divide by 12, divide by 12. And we will get our K is equal to 36 divided by 12 is 3. So when we get K is 3, we write the equation connecting P, Q, and R. And it is going to be P is equals to 3Q over R squared. So we are being told to find P when Q is 15 and R is 5. So how do we find P? P is equal to 3 times Q is 15, that is 45, over R squared is 5 squared, which is 25. So what is 45 divided by 25? By 5, 9, by 5, 5. So our P will be equal to 9 over 5 or 1 whole 4 over 5. That is our P. That is P. After we get our P, we can now solve the second question. And the second question reads, the second question reads, express Q in terms of P and R express Q in terms of P and R. Express Q in terms of P and R. So tuende ku express Q in terms of P and R. Express Q, I'm refilling my pen. Express Q in terms of P and R. So Roman 2, express Q in terms of P and R. So formula yetu ilikuwa P is equals to KQ over R squared. So tunaambiwa to express Q. When we are told to express Q, in simple terms we are being told to write this one as the subject of the formula. So we will cross multiply and we will get our KQ is equal to P. KQ times 1 is KQ. Multiply by P, we will get PR squared. And remember, we are making Q our subject. So we will divide both sides by K. And this side also we will divide by K. So by K1 by K1. And we will get our Q is equal to PR squared over K. PR squared over K. So PR squared over K. That is what is going to be our answer. PR squared over K. We were supposed to make PR squared over K. Now our K was equal to 3. Tuko tushapata constant yetu. Don't forget that our K was equal to 3. So our Q is going to be PR squared over 3. PR squared over 3. Then after doing that, the next question, part C, we are being told if P is increased by 20% and R is decreased by 10%, find Roman 1 a simplified expression for the change in Q in terms of P and R. In terms of P and R. So let us do that one. Fute hapa. This was PR squared, I think so. So tunaambiwa P is increased by 20. So that means new P, which is P1, will be equal to 120 over 100. And R is decreased by 10. and new R will be decreased by 10. So it will be 90 over 100. So our new P will be equal to 1.2 and our new R will be equal to 0.9. That is something I want you to put in mind. So write a simplified expression for the change in Q in terms of P and R. So don't forget that Q is equal to PR squared over 3. So for us to get a simplified equation, we will replace these values here. And we are going to get our new Q is, and there is change in P and R. So the new change in P is 1.2. The new change in R is 0.9 squared over 3. So when you do that, you are going to get our Q is equal to 0.9 squared is 0.81. 0.81 times 1.2 utapata nini? 0.1 times 0.1 times 0.81. What are you going to get? Utapata nini? Utapata nini? Chukua hiyo multiply na hii 0.81, nasema 1.2 times 0.81 unidividie na 3. Uniambie utapata nini? What will you get as your Q1? 1.2 times 0.81 over 3. Nifanyieni hiyo. Then we divide by 3. Tumepata nini? 0.324. 0.324. 0.324. 0.324. And listen, because we have been told to write it in form of with respect to P and R, tumeambiwa tuiandike with respect to P and R in terms of P and R. So it is going to be PR squared. It is going to be PR squared. The reason we are putting this is because we have been told to write in terms of P and R. So itakuwa 0.324 PR squared. So let us now solve the last bit of that question. Inatuambia the percentage change in Q. Percentage change in Q. The percentage change in Q. So we said that percentage change, this is Roman 2, C Roman 2. Percentage change, we say this, the new Q minus the old Q over Q times 100. Times 100. So this means that percentage change itakuwa the new Q ni 0.24. I hope you can see this. 0.324. Let us even include this one, PR squared. Hata hapa ilikuwa PR squared. PR squared minus, nikubalisheni ni condense hapa. Tujue hapa ni percentage already. So percentage change ni 0.324 PR squared minus PR squared over 3 ni the same na 1 over 3 PR squared. This is the same as 1 over 3 PR squared. So if we divide 1 over 3, itatupatia nini? Itatupatia 0.333. So itakuwa 0.333 recurring PR squared over, that is the new minus the old over the old, 0.333 PR squared, then times 100. So if you subtract this and this, what are you going to get? 0.324 minus 0.333. 0.324 minus 0.333. So 0.333 minus 0.324 itanipatia 2. 13 minus 4 is 9. 0 0.0. So itakuwa 0.0 negative 0.009 PR squared over 0.333 PR squared times 100. So hii ishe na hiyo. What is negative 0.009 divided by 0.333? Negative divide by 0.333 equals, itakuwa negative 0.02703 times 100%. Times 100%. So tukimultiply na 100 itakuwa 1 2. So it is going to be 2.703%. It's a negative. So ukiona negative unajua ni 2.703% decrease. Decrease. Percent decrease. Percent decrease. So let's do another example. Let us continue. So, tuendelee. Let's do another question. Tuende straight to the point. Three quantities x, y, and z. So I think this one is example 4. Three quantities x, y, and z are such that x varies directly as the square root of y and inversely as the fourth root of z. So let us go straight to question C. Kuna haja tushinde tukifanya za kwanza, mnajua tulifanya jana na tumefanya leo. Find the percentage change in x when y is increased by 44%. That is 4 marks. That is 4 marks. So tufanye hiyo. Find the percentage change in x when y is increased by 44%. So we will first write down the equation. Three quantities x, y, and z are such that x varies directly as the square root of y and inversely as the fourth root of z. And inversely as the fourth root of z. So if we introduce k here, it will be x is equals to k square root of y over fourth root of z. So with this, sasa tunaweza kuja hapa. Find the percentage change in x when y is increased by 44. So new y, if y increased by 44, that means old y or the initial y was 100%. But since it has increased by 44, it is going to be 144 over 100%. While z hatujatajiwa. Even if hatujatajiwa change ya z, tunafaa kujua ya kwamba it means that haiku change, so bado the new z is still 100 over 100. Is still 100 over 100. You must be very, very cautious with that part. Even if z has not been mentioned, it means that z never changed, so even the new z is still 100. It was constant, it didn't change. So that means the new y is equal to 1.44 and the new z is equal to 1. So when there is a change in y and a change in z, that means there is an automatic change in x. Therefore, our x is going to be k, we multiply by the square root of y. What is the square root of new y? So this is new x. New x is equals to the square root of new y, which is 1.44, over the fourth root of the new z, which is 1. And once we do that, our new x, remember this one is representing new x. So our new x is going to be square of 1.44 is equal to 1.2 times k, it will be 1.2k over the fourth root of 1 will still remain to be 1. So our new x will be equal to 1.2k. We said we can replace k with, in this case, we will replace k with x. Once we replace k with x, we are going to say our new x is equal to 1.2x. So if our new x is 1.2x and our old x was equal to x, can we be able to determine the percentage change? Yes, definitely yes. We can be able to determine the percentage change. So for us to determine the percentage change, it is going to be percentage change is equals to the new x minus the old x over the old x times 100%. That is the formula. So percentage change, that is for x, will be equal to, the new x is 1.2k. No, is 1.2. Tuliondoa hii k tukasema 1.2x. So it is 1.2x minus the old x is x over the old x, which is x, then multiplied by 100%. So this will give us 1.2x minus 1x will be equal to 0.2x over x times 100%. Once we simplify that by x1, we will have 0.2 times 100%, and when we multiply, we are going to get 20%. And because it is positive, we will say 20% increase. So that is the change in x. Have we understood? Tume understand? Tume understand that variation? How many have understood? If you have understood, probably you can comment you have understood so that we can know what next. Tunaweza jua what next. Is there another person who can second Habiba? Let me know whether you have understood. Do you need more examples on that? Mnahitaji examples zingine? Because even we don't. Do you need more examples, or we have understood? So that I can share some work with you. Yes? You may understand? Okay. Kama tumeelewa basi. Watu wameenda wapi? Turudi. Okay. Should we introduce ourselves to partial variation? Should we introduce ourselves to partial variation? Should we? Should we? Partial variation. Partial variation. Partial variation. Partial variation. Tufanye partial. Na bado hatujarudi. Partial variation. So partial variation, one thing that we need to understand on some of the properties of partial variation is that why not? Zuleka, Fatuma, everyone, kindly come up with a conclusion whether we should introduce ourselves to partial variation or we should not do it today. We might even do it tomorrow if that is what you wish, but kindly communicate it down in our comment section tafadhali. Niambieni sahi so that I'm not going to do it not according to your will. Remember, maybe mnaweza kuwa na assignment zingine of which I don't want to, probably in one way or another, truncate what you are supposed to be doing now. So niambieni. Sahi, tuende Zoom sahi. Tuingie Zoom sahi. Okay, sawa sawa. Tuingie sahi Zoom. Tuingie sahi. Tuingie sahi. Okay. Sawa sawa, thank you. So the live streaming ends immediately. The transmission is currently being cut short.